So I want to ask you a question. Have you genuinely ever thought whose world are we actually living in? Is it the world we create for ourselves, or are we just moving through someone else's vision? Every day we get up, we follow routines, we check our phones, we go to work, we interact with the world around us. But then ask yourself, how much of that did we consciously create? So hey everyone, welcome back to Abroad with Jay, and today we're going to explore this question that challenges how we see our daily lives. Are we truly living in a world of our own making, or are we just playing a role in someone else's script? Let's get to it. So guys, as you may know, I recently did a trip back to the US and I stayed about 10 days in Mobile, Alabama. And I did a video talking about some of the things that I did and noticed or observed while I was in the United States. And one of those things I talked about is when I connected with some of my friends when I was there. And some of the talk and just the demeanor of how they were acting when, I may ask them, how's everything going? It was more like, oh, I'm just taking it one day at a time, just trying to get there, man, just trying to make it through life. And I heard this type of response from a few people while I was there. And those type of responses had me thinking about this topic and this question. Whose world are we actually living in? Our world is shaped by many influences: society, culture, government, corporations, and even social media. And from the moment we open our eyes in the morning, we are bombarded with messages about how we should live, what we should value, even who we should aspire to be. But have you ever questioned how much of that is truly your choice? We are constantly influenced by external forces, the clothes we wear, what job we should take, and even the way we define success. And all of this comes from societal expectations. And it is very easy to get caught up in someone else's version of life without you even realizing it. You have to have the six-figure job. You have to have the house with the white picket fence. You have to have the 2.5 kids. And think about it, all that was created by someone else other than yourself. And how does all this happen? I'll tell you how it happens, through what we call conditioning. See, from a young age, we are conditioned by the world around us. The education system tells us what path to take. Advertisement tells us what's cool and desirable. And social media pushes us to compare ourselves to others. And it's no wonder why many of us end up living in a world that feels predetermined, meaning it's not built by us, but it is influenced by others. So think about it. How many goals right now do you have that's genuinely your goals? And how often do you base decisions around what you truly want versus what you think you should want? Let me give you an example. Some people want to quit their job and they want to move abroad. That's what they truly want. But they are conditioned to think that they want to continue to stay in their 9-to-5 rat race, work until they're 65, 67, 70 years old, get a retirement, and live the rest of their life. They're conditioned to think that's what they want versus what you truly want. And I talk to a lot of people, and they truly want to live elsewhere besides the US, but they're conditioned to think what they should want, which is what America has told them they should want for themselves. Now let's flip the question. Even if we are influenced by the world we live in, we still have immense power to create the world that we want to live in. And it starts with the choices that we make every single day. Choices like what we focus on, who we spend our time with, what type of energy we show up in the world with. These are the building blocks of our personal reality. So whose world are you actually creating? Because every single decision you make, big or small, contributes to the life you're building. So are you building a life that truly aligns with your true self? Or are you constructing a world based on someone else's blueprint? So now let's talk about how do you create this world that you want to live in. The first thing you need to do is you have to define your values. Understand and know the things that you value. Take time, reflect on the things that are important to you. Is it freedom? Is it connection? Is it creativity? Is it adventure? What are your values? And once you define your values and you know what's important to you, it kind of serves like a compass. It guides you away from all the noise of the world and closer to the life that's authentically you. I remember when I first started my journey and I defined my goals, and it did just that. It served as a compass for me. Once I started putting my goals at the forefront of my mind, it started driving me away from all the distractions that I was having and closer to the life that I actually wanted to live. So first things first, define your values. Know what's important to you. The next thing you need to do is challenge societal expectations. It's almost like unlearning what you've already learned. So what are some of those societal expectations that have shaped your life? One big one is the 9-to-5. Is the 9-to-5 job truly your dream? Or is it something that you were told to pursue? Do you really want the big house? Do you really want the fancy car? Do you really want to stay on that constant grind? Or would a simpler, fulfilling life serve you better? A lot of people feel they need the big house and the fancy car in order to be fulfilled, when in reality, you don't really need that. Now, I'm not saying that it's something wrong with people who live in big houses or drive fancy cars. That's fine. If you can afford it without being a slave to it, then fine. But many of us can't afford these things. We're slaves to the house. We're slaves to the cars. We're slaves to our credit cards. When in reality, sometimes simple is more fulfilling. So once you define your values, you challenge societal expectations, the next thing you want to do is you want to take conscious action. Creating your own world is not about making some grand decision. It's about small daily choices that add up, that contribute to the overall picture. Are your actions aligning with the life you want to create? In the beginning of my journey, this one was big for me. I wouldn't do anything that didn't align with my overall objective. I remember being at work, and I done said this before, I remember them all the time asking me, hey, you wanna go out to lunch? And I would always say no. Because for me, wasting that 1 hour didn't align with my overall goal. I was trying to get the hell out of there. So what aligned with my overall goal was me going to my car and learning how to do social media marketing, learning how to run ads, learning new skills, reading, and sometimes just sitting still and learning myself. But anything outside of that, I would always say no to it. It was all about doing the things that align with my overall goal. The way you spend your time, the people you surround yourself with, and the energy you bring in each day shapes your world. Listen, start by taking conscious actions. You gotta set boundaries, pursue your passion, or try to find some joy just in your day-to-day routine. And just by doing these small things, taking these little actions, you're gonna start building a world that, guess what? It feels like yours. The next thing you wanna do, which is hard for a lot of people, out of all the ones I named, this one is the hardest. And that is embrace the power to shape your reality. Most people don't believe it can be done. Most people think life happens to them instead of the other way around, but it's the truth. We're constantly creating the world that we're actually living in. That's not life happening to you. That's you happening to life. Whether it's consciously or unconsciously, you're creating it. So if you're broke, guess what? You created it. If you're rich, guess what? You created it. If you're happy right now, you created it. If you're sad, you created it. If you're in good health, you created it. If you're in bad health, you created it. Every thought, every belief, every action shapes our reality. And when we start to embrace that power and know we have that power, we could truly create a life that reflects our deepest desires instead of reacting to the world around us, which many of us do. All we do is react to the world around us. That's why you got people that always sit around talking about racism, colorism, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Who gives a? I know personally that none of that stuff plays a major role in my success. Now listen, I'm not gonna say racism doesn't have an effect on today's world. I'm not gonna say who's sitting in office doesn't have an effect in today's world. But what I will say is it has such a small effect on my life and really on yours too, if you decide to believe it or not. Well, I know it's not a big enough role in my life to stop me from being successful. I don't care who's sitting in the Oval Office. I don't care who doesn't like black people. What does that have to do with me? Nothing. So ask yourself, whose world are you living in? But most importantly, Whose world are you creating? And the answer, guess what? It's gonna surprise you. So here's what I'll say in closing. At the end of the day, it's up to us to take control of the lives that we live. Listen, it's not about rejecting society, and it's not about isolating ourselves. It's about consciously creating a life that aligns with who we are at our core. So I challenge you, take a moment and reflect. Are you living someone else's dream, or are you creating your own reality? Because the power to create, guess where it's at? In your hands. So remember, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're gonna live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.
Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing,